Hey guys, Gons here with another video for the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel. I am recording this literally minutes after Prime Minister Netanyahu made his speech in front of US Congress and the House, and I get a really uneasy feeling about it, despite the fact that everything he said was pretty straightforward and agreeable in terms of a geopolitical front. And just as a starter for this video, and it sort of ties into everything that I'm going to talk about here, there are lots of internet sites that report Netanyahu to be a self-admitted Freemason through a 1994 Israeli publication called Shishi. If anyone can vet that, let me know, because that would really explain a lot. But for this video, I want to talk about the late Leonard Nimoy, or a Mr. Spock. And I'm sure you've heard that Leonard Nimoy just passed away. He was the star on the hit 60s TV show Star Trek. He passed away at the age of 83 due to chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. And a lot of folks are bringing up the Vulcan symbol that the character Spock made so famous. But what does this symbol actually represent? Well, according to Nimoy, in an interview he did for the National Yiddish Book Center in 2013, the symbol has Jewish roots. Here's a short clip of Nimoy describing how he came about this symbol.
So I'm with my father and my grandfather and my brother, sitting in the bench seats. Women were upstairs. 5 or 6 guys get up on the bima on the stage, and they're facing the congregation. They get their talit over their heads, and they start this chanting. I think it's called duchening. And my father said to me, "Don't look." So everybody's got their eyes covered with their hands, or they've got their talit down over their faces, or turned away, turned their back to these guys. And I hear this strange sound coming from them. They're not singers. They were shouters. And dissonant. It was all discordant. And they were doing like that kind of wailing, and all discordant, not together, not in unison. And then the leader would shout out, "Yevarechecho!" And the rest of them would respond, "Yevarechecho, Yishmerecho!" It was chilling. You know? Whoa, something major is happening here. So I peeked, and I saw them with their hands stuck out from beneath their talit like this towards the congregation. I thought, wow. Something really got hold of me. I thought, I had no idea what was going on, but the sound of it and the look of it was magical. This is the shape of the letter Shin, Hebrew alphabet Shin. Very interesting letter in the language. It's the first letter in the word Shaddai, the first letter in the word Shalom, first letter in the word Shekhinah, which is the name of the feminine aspect of God, who supposedly was created to live amongst humans, the Shekhinah.
So there you go. Now, in doing a little bit of digging into the symbol myself, I thought I'd make a few comments regarding it and the connection it has to Hollywood and Star Trek, and even the occult and the Illuminati or the Elite Order, who take their directions from fallen spirits, which will make their appearance as well in this short little video. So as he described, the hand symbol represents the Hebrew letter Shin. According to Kabbalistic sources, there are 2 sides to the Shin. The right side, where the Shin possesses 3 heads and represents this world, and the left side, which possessed 4 heads and represents the world to come. Each of the 3 prongs of the Shin represents different dimensions of the human being, one being the Keser, will and pleasure, the second being intellect, and the third being emotion. And each of these have their own paths, and not surprisingly, there are several more layers of hidden meaning, of which isn't really that important for this video, but I'll leave some links where you can check them out for yourself. Now, the ritual that Leonard Nimoy was talking about there is a priestly blessing known as the Dukenin, which is performed by the Kohanims, who are the Jewish priests thought to be the descendants of Aaron, the Most High, brother of Moses, and according to Jewish tradition have been divinely chosen to work in the Jewish temple and assist others in serving God. Here is an image of the Kohanim performing this blessing. Does anything look familiar to you? If you studied occult symbolism at all, you know right away that this is very similar to the rock sign of the Illuminati that people have pointed out for a long time. Now, I don't really want to go down this rabbit trail right now, but I did want to point it out because it is very similar. Now, The real hidden spiritual deception behind this whole thing is found in the show Star Trek. The guy who created Star Trek, Gene Roddenberry, has a very interesting past, getting mixed up with a group that called themselves the Council of Nine. Now, if you don't know about the Council of Nine, again, I'll leave some links in the description section, but in short, the Nine claim to be the Ennead, or the 9 major gods of ancient Egypt, and the 9 principles of the universe. The story is long and complicated, but in short, it goes back to 1952 when the founder of the Round Table Foundation, a medical doctor named Andrija Puharich, who had been doing paranormal and psychic research for years, brought in an Indian mystic named Dr. D.G. Vinod, who began to channel the Nine. The history that follows is fascinating to look at, and many prominent people in culture have crossed paths with Puharich and his channelers, one of which was a young Israeli named Uri Geller. By the time Puharich set up Lab 9 in New York, he was backed by multi-millionaire businessmen, European nobility, scientists from Stanford Research Institute, and prominent political figures. And so again, one of the folks influenced by this Council of Nine, these spiritual beings that were being channeled, is Gene Roddenberry, the creator of Star Trek. And in fact, if you take a look at the number 9, you'll see it run through various elements of Star Trek throughout its various incarnations. But furthermore, the number 9 in general has been displayed throughout many Hollywood films, as seen here. But let's get down to the Vulcan himself. Spock was a hybrid, half human, half alien. But if we reach further back into history, we find that the Vulcan was the god of fire, where we get the word volcano. Of course, we should immediately notice the connection with Lucifer, the morning star, or Prometheus, the light bearer. He was also the god of metalworking and the forge, with the medieval alchemist Paracelsus declaring Vulcan as the god of alchemy, which might have something to do with Azazel, the Watcher, in the Book of Enoch, who taught mankind to make weapons. Now, this is interesting to consider because another name for Vulcan is Tubal-Cain. In Genesis 4:22, we read, "And Zillah, she also bare Tubal-Cain, an instructor of every art here in brass and iron." And so how did Tubal-Cain learn that stuff? Perhaps he was taught this by Azazel the Watcher, who taught mankind all the things of making weapons and of warfare. So if you look at the Gill's exposition of the entire Bible, here's what it states on a commentary for Genesis 4:22, quote, "And Zillah, she also bare Tubal-Cain, thought by many to be the same with Vulcan, his name and business agreeing, for the names are near in sound. Tubal-Cain may easily pass into Vulcan, and who with the heathens was the god of the smiths, and the maker of Jupiter's thunderbolts, as this was an artificer of iron and brass. As follows, his name is compounded of 2 words, the latter of which was no doubt put into the name in memory of Cain, his great ancestor, and former Josephus reads Theobald, and says of him that he exceeded all in strength, and had great skill in military affairs." Now, all this comes full circle when we read Manly P. Hall in his book The Lost Keys of Freemasonry, or The Secrets of Hiram Abiff, this quote, "When the Mason learns that the key to the warrior on the block is the proper application of the dynamo of living power, he has learned the mastery of his craft. The seething energies of Lucifer are in his hands, and before he may step onward and upward, he must prove his ability to properly apply energy. He must follow in the footsteps of his forefather Tubal-Cain, who with the mighty strength of the war god hammered his sword into a plowshare." So, in conclusion, the bottom line is that the Vulcan symbol that everyone loves and enjoys has deep occult roots in not just mystical Hebraic tradition, but also the Illuminati and the occult and the Masons. And so the show Star Trek itself was wrought with channeled influences from the so-called Council of Nine, which I forgot to mention earlier that some folks have suggested that this whole thing with the Council of Nine was a CIA mind control operation, which it very well could have been. And so the mixture of aliens, pagan gods, channeled spirits, and the occult all come together in this one character of Spock, the hybrid Vulcan human, who was played by the late Leonard Nimoy. And while I don't know where Leonard Nimoy is now, even though I have an opinion of where he might be, let's pray that people don't fall for these satanic traditions that have been so deeply embedded into our culture. Hope you guys have an awesome day. Please subscribe, comment, and share this video and others on the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel. God bless, guys.